If you're an educational leader, you're wanting to make a difference. And so oftentimes you'll be tasked to lead various groups, whether it's a professional learning community, grade level team, task force. I know for myself, one important task force that I'm a part of is accelerating the 5 Cs and helping students create a 5 Cs capstone where they're showcasing their student work and what that looks like across the curriculum, school-wide, and then working with the team to make that happen. And so this isn't going to happen in one day. It's something that's ongoing over time. And so a student of mine in one of my EDAD 510 course asked me, well, how do you progress monitor over time, or at least how are we going to do that in this class? So once again, when you're an administrator or leader or educational leader, oftentimes you're tasked with that group of leading that particular group, right? Let's call it a community of practice. If you're a principal, it's very likely that you're leading several of them, or you're supporting other leaders in leading several of them. So being effective at running these groups is critical for the educational leader, because in our EDAD 510 class, they're only leading one, and they're only meeting for a couple of times, but in reality, we might be leading several task force at once, and then it might be continuing to meet weekly and ongoing over a long period of time. So at the bare minimum, this is what's going to be happening in the class. First of all, they've identified an area that they want to improve. And so this could be like CAS test scores or math proficiency, science benchmark skills, literacy skills, collaboration between special education and gen ed, co-teaching models. It could be a new elective, writing skills, the professional development of new teachers, AVID strategies across the board, school-wide behavior systems and behavior supports, positive behavior interventions and support. So you can see how there are so many things that schools do to just improve, and they're constantly improving. Not one person can do everything, and so you have teams of different educators working on these various task force groups, and so you have that goal, right? And so how do you progress monitor over time? So you have that first meeting, and so you can see I have site memo number 1 here, which is kind of like a note-taking guide to help educators kind of reflect on where they want to head. So you can see here what arose at the first norm setting meeting, and that's oftentimes where you want to begin setting the norms. What worked? Where did you experience challenges? So it's kind of beginning there. And then I also have a template here. So if I click on this template, let's see. I don't know if that's going to show up or not, but if that template is basically asking a couple of questions. What are you trying to improve? How will you know that a change is improvement? What change will you make that will lead to improvement? What is your plan of action? What is your plan of implementation? What results did you expect and or achieve? So those are the questions they're asking themselves. So this would be the first check-in with me and with others at week 6, our memo number 1. But you can see that that's not the only time we're going to be checking in. We're going to be checking in at least 3 times. So we're going to also be checking in at week 9. So a couple of weeks later, that same professional learning community that they're working with, or community of practice like we're calling it here. So what arose at your subsequent meetings? What worked? Where did you experience challenges? And then kind of taking their notes and having an agenda where they kind of wrote down what happened. So now this is week 2, right? Their second session, their memo number 2. And then here we go. 2 weeks later will be memo number 3, where once again, they're continuing to follow this group, and they're asking these questions. What is the impact on professional learning and student well-being? How, if at all, did cultural climate impact your community of practice work? What did you learn about yourself? What are your plans for moving forward to strengthen and further develop your ability, capacity to facilitate and lead learning? And this is so important, this idea of reflecting on your own leadership practice and asking yourself, what is it that you can do so that you can continue to lead even more effectively in the future? and then kind of wrapping it up with a community of practice written reflection, which will be close to the end of the semester. And so in this course, you're going to have two options. One option is kind of like a written, very scholarly reflection. Instructions are detailed in this link. And the second is more of kind of a presentation. Like if we were to go to a scholarly conference and you were to present your thoughts of what it is that you did, your findings, what happened, and it was more of an oral presentation. That is option B, which I also offered to the folks in my class. So I hope that answers the question from my student who asked about what happens after that first meeting. And then I hope this is also helpful for all our Ed Family folks too. If you're running a community of practice or a professional learning community, how to stay on target toward the goal that you're headed, how to reflect, and to continue to progress forward. Because sometimes it's very easy to lose momentum or lose steam. And maybe you're waiting for someone else to lead. But if you were the person in charge of this community, you are the one that needs to take the initiative, and then being able to report out to all the different stakeholders, whether they're folks in your team, other committees that you may want to collaborate with as well, and definitely your site administration and leadership, keeping them up to date on what's happening along with next steps. Wishing you the best as you're improving our schools. This is Dr. Jeff signing out.